Welcome to Short Movie Channel. The movie starts with a scene of the protagonist in Rome, where we see him running from the police after stealing an expensive watch. He tries to hide in an abandoned spot near the river, but the police find him, so he quickly jumps into the lake as a last attempt to escape. While trying to get out of the water, he sits on a submerged barrel, but unfortunately it breaks, exposing him to a large amount of radioactive waste. Eventually, he manages to get out and runs home, completely unaware of the dangers he has just been exposed to. On his way back on the bus, he starts coughing up a strange black substance, and finds it hard to lift his head. His condition worsens throughout the evening until he vomits an unusual liquid and has a violent coughing fit. The next morning, another scene unfolds involving two drug dealers. While talking, one of them hands Fabio a new phone, but it's a different color than the one Fabio wanted. Furious, Fabio beats the man until he accidentally kills him. His men, already used to his violent behavior, remain silent. Fabio then calmly orders them to dispose of the body. Outside, Sergio meets Enzo and sells him the stolen watch for €100. After closing the deal, Enzo is about to leave, but Sergio invites him to join him on a mission to recover a shipment of drugs. Even though the job is risky, Enzo agrees because of the money. Later, they go to Sergio's house to gather the supplies they need. There, Enzo meets Sergio's daughter, Alesia, for the first time and is puzzled by her behavior. He notices the childish drawings she has pinned up around the house. She tells him about her obsession with the cartoon Steel Jeeg and firmly believes that one day he will return. She is deeply traumatized and obsessed with this cartoon. Enzo learns that she is a bright and special girl but has withdrawn from reality since her mother passed away. Later, Sergio and Enzo pick up two drug-smuggling brothers from the airport and take them to an abandoned building. Their task is simple: to retrieve drug packets hidden inside their bodies. However, things take a turn for the worse when one of the brothers dies after a drug pouch bursts inside his stomach. The other brother, enraged, demands that Sergio take them to a hospital, but Sergio refuses, saying there's no need. He insists that the only way to get the drugs is to cut them open, whether they're alive or dead. In a fit of rage, the brother grabs a gun and shoots Sergio. But before Sergio dies, he smashes the man's head against the wall, killing him too. As he takes his last breath, the dying man fires a shot at Enzo, causing him to fall from the 10th floor. By all logic, Enzo should be dead after such a fall. But instead, he's still alive. He opens his eyes like nothing happened, gets up, breathing heavily from the pain, and looks around in shock and disbelief, then starts running. On the other side, Fabio and his men are enjoying themselves at a nightclub. There, we meet Nunzia, a terrorist and the leader of the Karuma colony, one of the biggest drug dealers in Rome. Fabio was supposed to sell drugs to Nunzia, the same ones that Sergio was tasked with delivering. But after Sergio and his brother died, Fabio had no idea what to tell her. Right now, he's trying to convince her that the deal has already been made on the street, knowing that if she finds out the truth, she'll kill him on the spot. Meanwhile, Enzo heads home and runs into Alesia on his way. When she asks about her father, he ignores her, but Alesia doesn't stop knocking on the door. Frustrated, Enzo bangs his hand against the door, creating a hole in it. She's shocked by his newfound strength. He then tries pushing some furniture and is stunned to find that he can move it effortlessly. Later that night, he uses his new strength to break into an ATM, steals money, and smashes it open. When he returns home, he buys food with the stolen cash. But that's not all. He also realizes that his wounds heal incredibly fast. The gunshot injury on his shoulder, which was there just a few hours ago, completely disappears. Meanwhile, Fabio and his men are searching for Sergio. They threaten Alesia, trying to make her reveal his location, but they soon realize she has no idea where the deal was supposed to take place. This makes them think that Sergio ran off with the drugs, so they continue looking for him. Fabio holds a knife to her throat and demands to know where her father is. Alesia is too confused to understand what's going on, so she stays silent, which only makes him angrier. Suddenly, Enzo crashes through the window, wearing a mask and covering his head to hide his identity. He grabs one of Fabio's men with ease and throws him onto a table. When the others try to fight him, he overpowers them effortlessly. His incredible strength makes it clear that they can't beat him, so Fabio and his men flee. But before leaving, Fabio slashes Enzo's leg with a knife, cutting off his little toe. Enzo takes Alesia to his place to keep her safe. Later, he tries to reattach his severed toe, hoping it will heal overnight. The next morning, Alesia, who's obsessed with her favorite cartoon superhero, believes Enzo is her destined husband. Since she's mentally ill, Enzo doesn't bother correcting her and just plays along with her fantasy. The next day, he checks his toe but finds that it hasn't reattached as he expected. Accepting the situation, he asks Alesia if she has any relatives she can stay with, as he doesn't want to take responsibility for her. She tells him she has no one. Her father was all she had. Unsure of what to do, Enzo finally decides to take her to the care facility where she used to stay while her father was in prison. Alesia doesn't want him to leave, so Enzo lies and tells her he'll be back soon. At the same time, a security camera from the ATM captures footage of Enzo robbing it, and the video spreads online. When Fabio sees it, he recognizes Enzo as the same man who killed his men at Sergio's apartment. His gang starts panicking because they need to recover the missing drugs as soon as possible. Later, Enzo returns home and finds some papers among Sergio's belongings, including information about the planned drug transport route. The next day, Fabio and his men lie in wait on the side of the road, armed and ready to ambush the vehicle. But before they can act, Enzo stops the vehicle himself and steals everything inside. Fabio fires at him, but Enzo manages to escape before they can catch him. That night, the police show up at Enzo's door after finding Alesia wandering the streets alone, looking for him. Enzo quickly pulls her inside and scolds her for bringing the cops to his place. Alesia defends herself, saying she did it because he never came back for her. Later, they watch her favorite cartoon together. During this time, Enzo starts getting closer to her, but Alesia gets scared and tells him to stop because she doesn't want to hurt him. She then confesses that she was sexually assaulted in the past. The next day, Enzo, now feeling like a real superhero, decides to take Alesia out for some fun. He sneaks her into an abandoned amusement park and uses his powers to activate the Ferris wheel so she can ride it. On the other side, Fabio and Antonio are arguing because Antonio wants to take out a loan to solve his problems and sort things out with Nancy. But Fabio refuses to do that. When Antonio doesn't back down, Fabio orders his men to beat him up. Antonio ends up dying from the beating. Meanwhile, Alesia and Enzo go out to buy Alesia the princess dress she always wanted. But then Enzo tells her what happened to her father. Alesia gets extremely upset and blames him, believing he is the reason her father died. After some time, news of the car accident appears on television. Enzo recognizes the super criminal, and when Fabio sees how his fame keeps growing, he decides to gain superpowers too. At this time, Alesia takes the tram, planning to escape with Enzo. But Enzo, using his strength, stops the tram and climbs aboard to apologize to her. Alesia agrees to go with him but asks him to wear a mask next time. When Enzo looks around, he realizes that everyone is filming him, meaning they must have seen him stop the tram. So he quickly grabs Alesia and escapes. Meanwhile, Fabio meets one of his drug-dealing friends and takes money from them to pay Nanzia. Just then, Nanzia and her men attack them, angry that he didn't pay on time. A brutal fight breaks out, and the only survivors are Nanzia and Fabio. Fabio returns to his office, only to find that Nancy's men have killed all of his guys. Around the same time, the news reports on the supercriminal air on TV. Fabio finds out about Enzo and goes to ask him about his secret. By now, Enzo and Alesia have decided to escape to another city, especially since the police have identified him. They hide in a hotel, where Enzo tells Alesia about his past, how all his friends were killed during a robbery. Suddenly, someone injects him with a sedative. When he wakes up, he finds himself tied to a bed. Fabio has captured him to uncover the secret of his power. Enzo takes him to the lake and tells him to jump in, but Fabio hesitates, suspecting that Enzo is trying to drown him to escape. At that moment, Alesia and her men arrive and start shooting. Amid the chaos, both Fabio and Alesia are killed. Alesia burns Fabio's body and throws it into the lake. As Alesia takes her last breath, she asks Enzo to use his powers to help people. Enzo holds her tightly, mourning her loss. The next morning, Fabio emerges from the lake, covered in black water. The substance has given him superpowers too. He heads to Alesia's hideout and takes revenge, killing everyone there. He even records a video of himself committing the massacre, hoping it will go viral like Enzo's. Then he discovers a stash of explosives hidden in the building, realizing that Alesia had planned to blow up the entire city. Meanwhile, Enzo is walking alone, still grieving Alesia's death. Just then, a woman and her daughter get into a car accident nearby. Enzo uses his powers to rescue the little girl before the car explodes, remembering Alesia's final words. A little later, he sees a video on TV of Fabio threatening to blow up the Olympic Stadium. Fabio just wants to spread fear now that he has superpowers. Enzo immediately sets out to stop him. The stadium is packed with people watching a match. After searching everywhere, Enzo finds Fabio in the parking garage, holding the detonator. The two engage in a brutal fight, and Fabio eventually runs into the crowd, hiding among the spectators. Enzo chases him until they both reach an ambulance carrying the explosives. Unable to disable the bomb, Enzo grabs it and races toward the nearest bridge. Fabio spots him and stops him from throwing the explosives into the lake. They fight over the bomb, and as the timer counts down to the final second, Enzo clutches it tightly and leaps into the water. A massive explosion follows, killing Fabio. His severed head flies through the air. The public considers Enzo a hero. But in the final scene, he is seen standing atop a tower, looking over Rome. He wears the mask that Alesia had sewn for him long ago. And that's the end. If you enjoyed the movie, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.